Hello everyone, and welcome to another Hearthstone deck spotlight. My name is Togwaggle, and today we'll be taking a look at HUmanMustard's Togwaggle Warrior. It's been a while since we've seen Togwaggle Warrior around, so fantastic that HUmanMustard has been playing it again recently, as it's an archetype that is a really fun one, I think. But one of the great things is HUmanMustard has also included some replays. I love replays, especially with these decks. It lets us check the deck out before we actually jump in and play with it. So what I thought I'd do is we'd jump in, take a look at some replays. I'm going to go through, maybe cast some replays in a very casual fashion, and then afterwards we're going to play some games with the deck, and that will probably be in a separate video. So I'll maybe put a link up right now. There. But yeah, let's take a look at this Togwaggle Warrior deck. First we'll go through the deck list just quickly. Here we are. So very typical kind of control warrior stuff in here. We've got, you know, the control elements: Shield Slam, Reckless Flurry, Brawls, great cards like Dynamatic as well. But we've also got some of the more interesting, more tech cards. We've got some two Dead Man's Hand in here, so we can go full on into Fatigue. We've got an Explore Ungoro as well, so we can use that to transform our deck into 1 mana copies of Explorer card. We've also got Skulking Geist as well, so we can turn our deck into 1 mana copies of things and then destroy it, or we can swap decks with our opponent, give them a deck full of 1 mana spells, and then delete their deck, or any fashion of things. Particularly, we can also start Dead Man's Handing all these King Togwaggles as well. So I'm sure there's a bunch of different paths to victory, and we're relatively inexperienced with the Togwaggle Warrior archetype. So hopefully in a couple of these replays, we will get to see exactly what the deck is all about. So let's jump over and start taking a look at some of these replays. Alright, here we are. So this is the first game up against another warrior, so we could be in for a bit of a long game here. Let's take a look at the mulligans. Our opponent's sending back the full 4, and obviously this is through the HS replay browser-based extension thing. So we know some of the cards in our opponent's hand and deck, but we don't know all of them, but we'll be using that information sparingly. Pretty straightforward one here, just keeping the Loot Hoarder. See how the game progresses. So we're up against Odd Warrior. Pass on turn 1, pass back, Loot Hoarder on turn 2, so I'm going to start chipping away. Just a tank up as well, nothing here to contest, of course, no 2-drops, no Eternium Rover. Just a shield block here from our hero. Of course, our hero in the bottom is, of course, HUmanMustard. With capitalized U, HUmanMustard, and the enemy, the villain in this story is Cuervo Negro on the Odd Paladin. So turn 3 Stonehill Defender. The discovery will be a Gem-Studded Golem. Very interesting. Not sure what the other choices there were, but you can kind of see this game progressing fairly slowly. Both players just armoring up, drawing some cards. Nothing overly aggressive. I think we're really going to see this game kind of kick off once people start hitting 10 mana, once we start dropping Lich Kings, or once our opponent starts dropping Dr. Boom and things like that. Direhorn Hatchling out here. Of course, we're not too concerned about Direhorn Hatchling being the kind of a way to extend our opponent's fatigue. We're not too concerned about that because we are the deck that has double Dead Man's Hand. We are going to win in fatigue. Reasons, what is going on? Just casting some games here. Definitely let me know what you think about the decks. And Devastate here. Devastate, really interesting card from the most recent expansion. Taking down the Direhorn Hatchling. Shield Slam's going to take out this Gem-Studded Golem, but the Gem-Studded Golem doing a good job there of just absorbing a premium piece of removal there, and we didn't really take advantage of the kind of tempo play. Didn't deploy a big threat or anything like that. Both players just passing back now. These Ember Scale Drakes are going to be probably a little bit of a problem for us. As you can see, we're not exactly well equipped to deal with a mid-range threat. You know, obviously we've got cards like Execute and Shield Slam, which we really want to save for those, you know, those Ysera's, those huge threats. But this mid-range MCnvsCAA Drake is just a little bit awkward. It'll be real interesting to see what HUmanMustard goes for here, whether they're going to go for the Slam, and if they're going to finish it off. No, they're just going for the Slam to cycle through. Excellent draw there. They hit the Novice Engineer. We're able to play the Novice Engineer, hit the Witchwood Piper. The Witchwood Piper gets Thalnos, and we're just shredding through our deck right now. Absolutely shredding through the deck. Baku is the play. Okay, so a bit of a weak kind of Dynamatic, yeah. So a bit of a weak kind of threat from our opponent, but luckily we have the tools on board. We can trade, we can use that Dynamatic to finish it off, and we can retain our really premium removal. Vox, what is going on? So our opponent played a Crowd Roaster there. An unactivated Crowd Roaster. So that might speak of the quality of our opponent's hand. Something we can discern. And I think it does make sense for cards like Shield Slam and the like to be in here, because we haven't really presented our opponent with a threat. You know, if they're trying to play the same game as us and maintain their premium removal, only use the good removal on the good creatures, it totally makes sense that for them to have a bunch of good removal in our hand, because we haven't been playing any good creatures. But yes, what's going on, Vox? Playing looking at some Togwaggle Warrior, looking at some replays from HUmanMustard, and we have assumed Dr. Boom form Execute on here. Totally, I think that's pretty reasonable. Dragonmaw Scorcher. So unfortunately our opponent hitting the Dragonmaw Scorcher after they played the Crowd Roaster, not able to get advantage of that. And interesting that they actually chose to deploy the Dragonmaw Scorcher here, so they are going to be struggling to have their dragon cards turned on in this matchup. So as you can see, our hero power is the micro squad, the 3 bots, which are going to have Rush. They're probably going to take out the taking out the Gluttonous. And we have the other Dynamatic as well, which is going to take this out, and we can trade one of our bots for it. So, you know, excellent. HUmanMustard here is just being really thorough at I was going to say, being very thorough at making sure that they're trading resources effectively, but our opponent now has gone into their own Dr. Boom form. Both players have assumed their final form. Let's see how it kind of pans out for both of us. The Zap Cannon on the Dynamatic, and the Kaboom next turn, so this board is set up to die to everything. But so far, if I was HUmanMustard, I'd be feeling like in a pretty good slot. I guess. Yeah, we're in a good slot, sure. Dynamatic, bit of a waste here. I think I'd be a bit more tempted to keep that Dynamatic, though maybe our opponent, this opponent here, has figured out that this is some kind of shenaniganry. You know, our opponent's not on odd, they're not on quest, what are they doing? And maybe they just wanted to get a Dynamatic out there to apply some pressure. Alright, so Togwaggle into Explore on Goro is the play. What does the opponent do? Opponent Shield Slams the Togwaggle and attacks. Swaps the decks back. So currently our deck is the one full of Explore on Goros. Blast Shield puts our opponent to 58. Dead Man's Hand. Yep. Okay, and then cool. So what HUmanMustard has done there is they've Dead Man's Handed, which has shuffled Warpath, Execute, Dead Man's Hand, Brawl, Reckless Flurry, Witchwood Piper into their deck. Then played and a Skulking Geist, I guess. Then they've played Skulking Geist, which has deleted all the cards in their deck. So these 9 cards should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And did we have a Direhorn Hatchling die or something like that? Anyway, there's some cards in the deck. But I would say that with this kind of selection, especially with the Executes and the yeah, with the executes and the board clears, like this is just an unwinnable situation for the opponent. You know, we've talked about Odd Warrior in the past, just having a very weak late game compared to a lot of other late games. And, you know, if one of the aspects they rely on is having a good fatigue game, well, guess what? This deck has a better fatigue game. So well played. And that's a really interesting thing, you know, knowing that we can, you know, we can just go for Togwaggle, Explore Ungoro. If our opponent goes for the swap back, well, you know, if we have the double dead man's hand, no worries. If they don't swap back, then we can do more shenanigans. But very, very good. We'll move on to the next game here. So we've got, actually, in the bottom, we have a hero in the warrior-coloured shorts. It is HUmanMustard. And at the top, in the rogue-coloured shorts, it is, oh, so funky. Let's take a look at the mulligans. Oh, so Death Rattle Rogue. Interesting. Would not have predicted that. So I'm sure HUmanMustard is just going to go for the standard mulligan here, whatever they believe the standard mulligan to be. Vox, is the goal to fatigue? Well, the goal is either to fatigue your opponent or to delete their deck, which also fatigues them. Either at some point they're going to die to fatigue, I guess. But that's kind of what we're discovering by watching these replays. It allows us to kind of discover how people are winning with the deck. Does it typically come from one way or another? And things like that. So keeping the Blood Mage Thalanos and the Novice Engineer here. Once again, things... Ooh, our opponent, very good draw with a Cavern Shining Finder. They did, I believe, already have a Necrium Blade, but now they're going to have the other one. So they're setting up for some shenanigans here. See what happens. Necrium Blade. No, going for the Dagger Mastery there. Interesting. Interesting. I guess if that were me, my opponent played a Cavern Shining Finder and then chose to dagger up. I would definitely be a little bit perturbed. Especially because this Necrium Blade, I feel like has more value as the Death Rattle trigger rather than the actual 3/2 body. Especially your opponent's playing a bunch of, you know, dorks like this. Necrium Blade as a 3 attack weapon is not going to do much. So we draw some cards. Our opponent has the Fan of Knives to get in there and getting rid of their weapon. Smart move. Slam just to kill. Okay. And armor up. So kind of making the play to hopefully get some armor, make this shield slam relevant. As opposed to maybe... Otherwise we'd kind of have to rely on playing Dr. Boom to get some armor. Okay, so our opponent went for Hero Power, Attack, Necrium Blade. So this Necrium Blade is not ready to go. Witchwood Piper, excellent draw. I mean, you're still going to play it even though your opponent has a Necrium Blade out, but it's about as good a target as any for a Necrium Blade. At least it leaves us with some armor. Vox, gotcha, makes sense. Oh, the goal is to fatigue. All my matches against them drag on. Yeah, for sure. And if that's a dragon pun, that's also very impressive. Yeah, I think Warrior's in a really good controlling position right now. Like I said, it's just all about that finisher, and I think the Quest is the best finisher. But if you want to do some shenaniganry, and you want to fatigue people out, I think this one's also good on. What wild rank are we? Probably like 19? 18 maybe? Alright, raise pistol volley. So I would be freaking out right now because this smells like some kind of strange, like Death Rattly, Kobold Illusionist-y, Malagos-y weird thing. Something's going to happen here. You know, definitely don't think we see Necrium Blade in many Miracle Rogues. So taking the form of Dr. Boom here, it's going to set us up fairly well. Hopefully we can get some Discovers or something else juicy, because otherwise our curve is looking a little bit awkward. What's up? Our opponent, spell damage at the wazoo. Couple of shivs. And a secret. Just armoring up here. Raw Dynamatic, just putting a body out there. I think that's pretty reasonable. Our opponent hasn't really shown that they have many bodies. So I think that trying to get the Dynamatic out there, put a little bit of pressure on them, is pretty reasonable. Slamming our own Dynamatic, nice, heads up play. And shield slamming our own Dynamatic, that's real interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think maybe Human Mustard here was scared that if the Dynamatic got sapped and it burnt one of those cards, that there's a lot of value. So if they burnt the other dead man's hand, or what else is in this list that really matters? I think it's just the other dead man's hand, right? But that's a pretty reasonable risk to get, and our opponent does have the sap, so that probably would have happened. What's the next draw? Our opponent getting no value off these Necron Blades either. Ah, nice. Got the delivery drone, so we're going to get something to play here. Replicating Menace. Unfortunately, it is probably going to get sapped, and we will end up burning a card. So, you know, if they were playing around the sap last turn by shield slamming the Dynamatic, it looks like, unfortunately, didn't stick to the line and got punished anyway. What is this Necron Blade doing? Our opponent's just throwing Eviscerates at us as well. Alright. So we have our opponent's deck. They're going to swap back. So our opponent has a deck full of discoveries, right? And then we're doing the thing. So we deleted our opponent's deck. And they're just going to concede. So GG is very well played. I think this maybe... Because this was pretty quick, to be honest. This game only went 13 turns, so there was only a couple of turns at 10 mana. And we were pretty easily able to perform the combo. So I think that's really... I think that's a good positive to take from this, that even if we do come up against those, you know, quick combo decks, those Mechathune decks, there's always a chance that we can actually you know, kill them before they kill us. So move on to the next one. Who have we got here at the bottom? Our hero, your best friend and mine, Human Mustard. And at the top, let's see some stay wavies in chat for Human Mustard. At the top, the mage, the menace, the nemesis, Card Flinger. Looking to fling some spells our way. Alright, looks like we're going to be up against big Spell Mage. I think that's a pretty reasonable way to... it's a reasonable assumption that we would be up against a big Spell Mage if someone was queuing Mage. Yes, let's see. I see those stay wavies flowing. So, either that or some kind of like hero powery hand mage or something like that. But they all pretty regularly blend into one. So, full mulligan here. It's pretty reasonable. Choosing not to keep the Explorer on Goro, that's something to note, that Human Mustard, I guess, values that early game velocity, being able to go through your deck, having more 2-drop plays, as opposed to keeping combo pieces. Early game, pretty straightforward, drawing some cards, see what our opponent is going to do. Raven Familiar is, and the jig is up. They're going to reveal a Dragon's Fury. And we're going to know that we are up against Big Spell Mage, which not too threatening. Not too threatening. We're not a deck that really cares too much about board clears, about board presence, or anything like that. So we should feel pretty good about that matchup. Things to be aware of, though, is that if this is more of a kind of hand magey type deck, that this Mountain Giant that we can probably assume is in our deck is going to be very good, particularly if our opponent can chain together like Mountain Giant into the Astromancer, the 7 mana one that summons a creature equal to your hand size, that kind of stuff. That's where things could get dangerous for us. But we are equipped with a Brawl, a Reckless Flurry, and a Devastate, so we might be able to match up well against our opponent. Ooh, Stonehill into Lich King. So exactly what we were saying, that this is kind of dangerous, you know, if our opponent can sequence some good plays together. But Human Mustard staying stoic, staying strong. Bright-Eyed Scout into Bright-Eyed Scout, not the greatest. And we're just going to, okay, choosing to Reckless Flurry this board away. And an Armor Up, as opposed to playing a Witchwood Piper out. I think I can get behind that. Ooh, Bright-Eyed Scout into Astromancer, and interesting that they chose to coin out this Artificer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I guess they would have burnt a card if they hadn't coined this out, which is pretty reasonable. And I believe this Astromancer does cost 5. Slam is fine. So just kind of cycling through our deck. Here's the Mountain Giant. So here's where things are going to get a bit interesting, because if we go for the Brawl and we hit, then our opponent's going to drop a raw Astromancer on us. I don't understand the combo. Don't they immediately just swap decks back? So if we play our Togwaggle and swap decks, so we have their deck, they have ours, then we play our... if we play the Explore Ungoro afterwards, then we have a deck full of Explore Ungoros. And if our opponent swaps back, then we can play our Skulking Geist, and then it gets rid of their deck. So if they swap back, they kind of die. If we play Explore Ungoro first, and then give it to them, then if they swap back, if we Skulking Geist, it'll delete our deck, which I guess is always an option, because we can go Infinite Fatigue. So if we have the if we have all the pieces, it might be a better play. But I like that Human Mustard's kind of shown us that you can do a couple of different things. But now we are at the risky situation with this Mountain Giant in play, threatening to do a pretty quick beatdown. We're not too concerned about this Arcane Artificer, but let's see what happens. Witchwood Piper. Novice Engineer. Okay, so Human Mustard just in the face of a Mountain Giant, I guess, knows that the worst is yet to come, and is staying very very conservative with their plays, not busting out either of these two Brawls. I think a lot of people, especially with two Brawls in their hand, would have immediately just snapped one off, and you know, as after playing a Novice Engineer or something, and you know, tried to get a good result. But I like this play. Ooh, 2 Lich Kings. Flame Strike's going to come down. Good tempo play. Get some damage in there, but and doesn't commit any more minions to the board. So what's our follow-up? Once again, just staying stoic in the face of evil. 5 mana Raven Familiar. Oh, so it was the Raven Familiar that was drawn off the Bright-Eyed Scout, not the Astromancer. That makes sense, because I did feel that, like, if your Astromancer costs 5, you could actually go for an even bigger tempo play and get more out there. But getting this expensive Raven Familiar out of the hand, doing more of a beatdown, card flinger in a very solid position, but the hero, Human Mustard, has options. First one, Dynamatic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 2 hits on the Mountain Giant, 1 on the Raven Familiar. Devastate, going to deal double Devastate. Okay. Double Devastate. I mean, that's a lot of resources to use on a Mountain Giant, but this is the killer. Our opponent has gone for Frostlich Jaina on turn 9, right off the top. This is a pretty dangerous scenario. Our opponent's going to start being able to get turn a lot more of our cards into value, and it could mean that these next couple of turns are where we, if we don't draw our combo or we can't stabilize, we could lose the game. So let's see how this one pans out. I assume we're going to go form of Dr. Boom. Yes, we are. And we get the Blast Shield Hero Power. Hero up, of course. Hero Power up. And all of a sudden we're sitting pretty above 30 total health. Let's see what happens here. Astromancer summons a Sleepy Dragon. That's a good hit for our opponent. That's definitely going to stop us from being able to trade very well, and that's exactly what our opponent wants. Our opponent wants the board to be trading on their terms, because that's what allows them to get more value off of the hero power. Ooh, ripping off a brawl here. Oh, the hero Dynamatic. Surviving the brawl between a Sleepy Dragon, an Astromancer, and a Water Elemental, unfortunately, is going to turn into a Water Elemental next turn. But that's okay. This deck has plenty of 1 toughness targets, so let's see if our opponent just goes for the... if Cardflinger here just goes for Icy Touch and a Lich King. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, they're going to burn a card, but honestly, with Frost Lich Jaina in play, 2 Lich Kings in hand, like, you can't have too many more valuable cards in the deck that are super duper high value. You know, maybe Dragon Call or Alana or something like that. That'll be a card that you'd be scared of burning. But let's see, Shield Slam going to take out the Lich King, whilst the Shield Slam is still good as well. Trading here, of course, so that they can't get another Water Elemental. What do we draw? Slam. Slam this. Just once again, cycling through the deck. We've got to make sure that we combo our opponent quickly, because these next few turns are really important. Ooh, and we've got Blast Shield next turn. That's great. Ziliax here going to trade in, get another Water Elemental in play. Cardflinger doing an excellent job of maximizing those Water Elementals. Togwaggle in. Explore Ungoro. Okay, so Vox, this is what we were talking about. So right now, our opponent does have a King's Ransom. But if they want to swap their deck back, our deck is all Explore Ungoros. So let's see how this plays out. King's Ransom to swap back. Tax face, tax face. We get frozen. Death Coil kills King Togwaggle. Icy Touch for the extra damage. So we're on 23. Dead Man's Hand. And then Skulking, guys. So we've deleted our opponent's deck. Our opponent now has to win the game with this board and this Frost Lich Jaina, which is certainly possible. It is certainly possible. Zap Cannon in there. Opponent takes their first tick of fatigue. It will take a while for this fatigue to tick up, and with all these elementals having lifesteal. Ooh. And another water elemental. Excellent use of that polymorph. See what happens. Brawl. Who lives? Kaboom, and then we can execute the remaining elemental. Okay. Lich King up next. We did get Blast Shield. Could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you want to think about it. What is this? Oh, this is a Lich King card that we never find out what it is. So Blast Shield up. Crowley's going to attack, execute. I guess once we're at this stage, we can trade resources very ineffectively, knowing that our opponent's never going to regain resources, or that the resources that they could regain are through Lich King, so if we kill it, we're in a good position. Dr. Boom Hero Power proving invaluable here. Really and we've got the Discovery Drone next as well. Opponent can try and go for Arcane Artificer, maybe ping it. Oh, uses Dragon Fury to gain 5 armor. Pings the opponent. See what we discover off the Delivery Drone. Mechathune. Do it. Ah, boo. Dead Man's Hand, then Scorpomatic. No, not going to Scorpomatic the Arcane Artificer. I guess he's happy to just take 1 damage a turn, especially with Blast Shield next turn. Now we can Scorpomatic it to stop the them from getting a Water Elemental next turn. Yep, Munch. Does a Munch, Blast Shield up, and this game is done. Done like dinner. Looks like the game goes on for a little bit longer before eventually Cardflinger is defeated. GG. Well done to Human Mustard on that one. And one last game that they've linked here. Let's take a look at it. At the top, the enemy. The Heathen. It is Yeasley-Durr. Yeasley-Durr. I'm sure I've just said something very offensive in some language, but Yeasley-Durr up here in the Arthas coloured pants, and down the bottom, our hero, faster than a speeding bullet. It's HUmanMustard. Alright, let's take a look at the mulligans. Looks like we're up against, this could be combo, any number of combo paladins, could be Death Knight combo, could be Shivala, like Holy Wrath, stuff like that. HUmanMustard just got a pretty standard mulligan here. I hexed my opponent's Temporis on my second turn for game. Woo! Woo! Tasty. Alright, see what this kind of start looks like. Righteous Protector, obviously we don't see the, the odd hero power trigger at all. Looks like... oh, we went first, of course. Sorry, I thought we coined out a hero power on turn 1. Thalnos is a play on turn 2. Nice little beats here. Novice Engineer, a reasonable draw. We can pair that with another 2 next turn, which we did get. And Thekal. Thekal is usually very, very good, as it allows you to get more value out of these flash of lights and things like that. Obviously, we're just going to try to delete our opponent's deck, so we're not too concerned about that that kind of health. But Thekal is a pretty good body, and our opponents had a pretty good draw, so under a little bit of pressure here, but not too much. And I think HUmanMustard has shown us that they are very composed under pressure. They know exactly what to do, and that they're not going to pilot this deck into the ground. Going for the 2/2 drops here once again, getting that velocity, going through the deck, and our opponent has run out of solid tempo-based plays that they are going just for a little bit of cycling here. Even the True Silver Champion on that turn would not have been too threatening, obviously, if they had it in their hand at the start of the turn. Doing some trades, getting some damage in with Thekal, Witchwood Piper just... Oh, that's an interesting play. So just going for a Shield Slam there on the Blood Mage Thalnos as well. I guess... HUmanMustard in this position feels like our opponent's got these bodies out. We're going to be conservative. We're not going to go for any reckless flurries. We're not going to go for anything like that. And because of that, we're not going to have much armor over the next couple of turns. So using that Shield Slam, kind of lowering our hand size as well, giving us a bit more maneuverability with this Acolyte of Pains and this Novice Engineer. Just clearing that Blood Mage Thalnos out. I think is totally reasonable. Spike Ridge Steed on the Righteous Protector. That's going to be pretty frustrating, getting a bit more damage in there. Warpath to clear out the Thekal. And Execute. Okay. So deciding to use some resources here. Perhaps that was the point at which Mustard was tipped off that our opponent's likely not going to be producing any huge threats, that they're going to be playing some kind of combo-ish deck. We don't need to save, or we don't necessarily need to save every resources because we have to deal with 2 Mountain Giants, Lich King, other such huge threats, that our opponent's only going to have a couple, so we can just probably bank on, a single Shield Slam and a Dynamatic. The current selection of cards that we have can probably deal with most of these threats that this deck is going to produce. So by dealing with, by using those Executes and that Warpath that turn, we can kind of give ourselves a little bit of breathing room, and know that we don't have to hold on to that stuff forever and make sure that we get value. Big heals there with the Flash of Light with Kangor in play. Just going for a bit of a trade. Our opponent keeps dropping their minions down. But we have gone into Dr. Boom form. Blast Shield, maybe not the exact card that we want. It feels like this matchup might be one that we're going to be looking to slam our own minions. We're going to be trying to make sure we rip through our deck as quick as possible. So let's see what the play next turn is. Could it be Acolyte of Pain Dynamatic? Could it be Blast Shield Reckless Flurry? Dynamatic first. Okay, kills pretty good damage there. Blast Shield, and then the Dynamatic does attack in. Okay. Dynamatic just proving why it is just one of the best cards around. Our opponent with the Call to Arms though, so see how much card draw this is. Just a little bit. Our opponent does have Uther in hand for turn 9, so our opponent could go for the quick combo here. I think that makes quite a lot of sense. What are we going to do? Acolyte, Warpath. Tremendous draw there. Really top-notch draw. That's going to keep Human Mustard very well in the hunt for that combo. Plenty of draws. Gets rid of all of this pressure as well. And all of a sudden we've got, you know, another piece in our hand. We've got that dead man's hand. But Uther is going to come down and put a bit of a clock on this game. Our opponent only has the Zola though. Doesn't have any youthful brewmasters or anything like that. Another combo piece in here. Acolyte Dynamatic for the draw 3. And then, ooh, awkward. Very awkward. So we can play the Blood Mage Thalnos so that we don't burn a card, at least not immediately. But if our opponent rams that Grave Vengeance or Consecrates here, we're going to burn a card, and that could be absolutely disastrous. What happens? 4 Horsemen. Opponent's going to go for the combo play here. And Call to Arms as well. Oh, Call to Arms for nothing, so no 2 or less minions left in the deck. They do choose to attack the Grave Vengeance. And what do we burn? Did we burn anything? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we should have burned a card there. I'm not sure if in the HS replays thing, if it shows burnt cards, but I'd love to know what we burnt there. But we did conveniently draw the combo. We did exactly what we were talking about, where took the kind of high velocity path, knowing that our opponent's also playing a combo deck. We've got to, you know, draw as many cards as possible. Acolyte Dynamatic, huge play, and we have successfully swapped our opponent's deck, turned it into a bunch of 1-mana spells. Does our opponent go for the swap back? No. Quality, Consecrate. 4 Horsemen. They're going to try and play through it, even though they don't have their deck. That presumably it's going to be quite hard for them to collect all of these 151 horsemen. They are just going to go for it. So we're on the Control Warrior with Explore Ungoro path. Let's see what we do. Prince Tal'Darim is going to work. Core Chronolite could be pretty good. Take out one of these. Let's see what they go for. It is Core Chronolite to take out the 2/2. Zap Cannon the 2/2, take out the other one. Our opponent's probably going to be forced to swap back here. They really just can't play with our deck. I guess they can, but also they're much deeper in fatigue than us. Even though they are on 60, they managed to actually heal back all 30 of that health that Thekal dropped them. Tarlord here seems pretty good. Or Heroic Strike. Guess they're just taking the removal for this turn. I think I would have gone for the maybe gone for the attack first, then Blast Shield up. Make sure we have the extra armor, just in case. Ooh, Scourgelord Garrosh. That's an interesting one. I don't know if I would have gone for Scourgelord Garrosh there. I think we're, you know, much better off relying on the Dr. Boom hero power. Our opponent may be going to draw out this deck before swapping back. Nope, swapping back now. 4 Horsemen. Yep. So this turn we can Skulking Geist to delete their deck, as well as our Dead Man's Hand to make sure that we have a deck. And zap, and that should be GG. See if our, I guess maybe Yeasley Durr is going to stay in the game, see if they can just get 4 uncontested hero powers off, but given that we have 2 Reckless Flurries in our hand and 2 more in our deck, it seems like it's not going to work out for them. Delivery Drone here as well. Can take the well, didn't have to take the Steel Rager because all of our mechs have Rush, but could have taken any of those to kill that boy. Still sticking in the game here. Going for the beatdown plan. Don't think that's going to particularly work very well against Dr. Boom. And there's the Reckless Flurry. See if that provokes the GG. Delivery drone as well next turn. Delivery drone taking a Brillium Nullifier maybe? Nope. Doesn't matter. Usually concedes. Human Mustard with another win. So there we go. Honestly, fantastic deck. I really love the style. And now that we're going to kind of take some of those learns that we took from how Human Mustard was playing this and go play some games with it. So that'll be in a separate video. Link will probably be up somewhere. Come check it out. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out other ones over here, or come subscribe to the Wave Pool for more excellent times.